Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube NFL prediction segment. I'm going to be giving you, my preview of the 2019 AFC Wild Card matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. Now, this one's got the makings of a very good competitive game. Buffalo has had trouble scoring this season, but their defense has been stellar, to say the least, been phenomenal. They're number 2 in the NFL, allowing about 16 points per game. Houston, lucky for Buffalo, Houston's not exactly an offensive juggernaut. They're averaging about 24 points per game, which is 14th in the NFL in scoring offense. Now, the thing about it is Houston has had first of all, I want to get off it. Let's say that I'm going to take Houston this game in a tight battle. It's mainly on virtue of them being at home. J.J. Watt may be back, and I think he's going to help rejuvenate and revive this team. And, they don't really it's not so much that they need to be rejuvenated, revived, but they're going to get some extra life. I think he's going to give them some extra energy in this game. And even if he doesn't record a sack or doesn't play great, his presence may actually help them as well. Now, another thing, too, why I like Houston is a fact. Some people will say, well, history doesn't mean anything in terms of sports. Well, it actually can in some cases. And you've got to remember, when you have history, you have a psychological edge over a team, too. Now, Houston has won 4 of the last 5 against the Buffalo Bills. You look at domination in sports, people, like how the Patriots have dominated the Jets over the years. The Patriots this season, they've shown some certain vulnerability this season, and the Jets have still have trouble against them. It's just a simple thing where you're dominating a team over a certain period. You have a little bit of an edge over them, and sometimes it's psychological, sometimes it's matchup issues, sometimes it's a combination. But anyway, getting back to this with the preview. Now, Houston has won 4 or 5 against Buffalo. The last time they played, it was they won 20-13 over the Bills. It wasn't exactly an great offensive performance for either one of those teams. But looking at this, another thing too is that Buffalo, they have definitely. It's not completely inconceivable that they could win this game. They could add. It is conceivable they can win. Buffalo has been very consistent since about the middle of last season. They've won 14 of their last 23 games. And they're 6-2. They are warriors on the road. They have been a very dominant road team, actually, this season. And the thing about Buffalo, too, is, again, it's going back to as far as their defense goes. But what I think is going to could be a little bit of a problem. I'm looking at with DeAndre Hopkins on this team, with the receiver DeAndre Hopkins for Houston. And you're looking at a possible matchup between him and Tre'Davious White on the Buffalo Bills. Now, cornerback Tre'Davious White is a standout cornerback, 6 interceptions on the season. He's one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. The last time they played, though, now DeAndre Hopkins had 63 receptions, 63 receiving yards, 5 catches, basically kind of a mediocre day. But I think he's going to probably get a little bit more on this in this particular game. And I'm looking at this. I think a lot of it's going to come down. It's this receivers on Houston against the Buffalo defense. I understand Buffalo's defense has been sensational this season. Don't get me wrong, but I think they might have a little trouble the secondary against the receivers of the Texans, and it is going to be at Houston. And the thing about this too is that the Houston Texans have had an interesting pattern this season. They've won for all their games so far. They're basically 2 wins, 1 loss. They lost the last game to the Titans. They come in on a losing note. They lost that, and that was following 2 victories, if I'm not mistaken. Then they lost to the Titans. That means, based on that pattern, they should win this one. Now, I know it's more than just that, of course. But the thing about it is Houston has been very intriguing this season for having that pattern. And the thing about it, too, is that going back to what Houston has done with the Buffalo Bills in recent time, the lost the Buffalo Bills have lost 3 straight games at Houston. So they've had some difficulty in recent time going to Houston. In Buffalo, neither one of these teams, neither one really looks very dominant to me. And they're both 10-6 going in. It's still a good record. But the thing is, but they don't really strike me as like world beaters or really teams that are going to put you in a state of trepidation going deeper into the playoffs. Likely whoever wins this game is going to lose the second round matchup. I think it's fairly safe to say that in all likelihood that will happen. Buffalo has only one victory this season against a team that finished over 500. That was the Tennessee Titans. They beat them like 14-7. Titans finished 9-7. That's the only win they had all season against a team that did finish over 500. And any other winning teams they lost. They finished with a win record. Buffalo did lose to. So it's really a lot of this, and it's not to take anything away from the Buffalo Bills, but a lot of what they've accomplished is based on their schedule that they had. And I mean, don't forget they played Miami, and they did get to play the Jets 2 times. Now, they did lose to the Jets the last game of the regular season, but that was an insignificant game anyway. Buffalo had solidified their playoff spot. But anyway, people, I'm going to stay with the Houston. I'm going to take them at home in a close matchup in this game. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.